Shalom, dzień dobry, and welcome back, language learners, to Adventures in Language. I'm your guide, Emily. And in this video, we're talking about how to set good language learning goals. To do that, I'm going to walk you through 6 prompts that are going to set you up for success on your language learning journey. We have an awesome free version of the 6 prompts that you can download, linked in the description below. And I honestly can't recommend it enough because writing out your answers to these prompts is going to make it feel more real, and it increases your likelihood of actually achieving those goals. So go ahead, pause the video, check out the link in the description. And for those of you who might not know me yet, I'm Emily. I'm a linguist here at Mango Languages. I have my PhD in bilingual language processing. I teach and learn a lot of different languages, so I'm excited to get to talk about these practical tips with you for setting good language learning goals for yourself. Pues, sin más preámbulos, let's get to it. All right, number 1, lay out your when, where, and how much plan. So this one you can do by answering these 3 simple questions. First, on a normal week, how many hours can you realistically commit to your language learning goals? Second, what are the best times for you to learn? So that means like day and time of day. Third, what are the best places for you to learn? And be realistic about answering these. For example, if you like the idea of yourself studying in a cozy library nook every morning for about an hour, but you know you're never going to wake up to make it happen, then just find another place and time that's really actually going to align with your work and life routines. And do consider all of your options. So think about early in the morning, lunch breaks, afternoons, evenings, right before bed. Explore all of your options. And pro tip, if you anticipate having a little bit of trouble fitting in your language learning into your busy schedule, then take advantage of the Mango app's autoplay feature. This is cool because it allows you to learn in audio-only mode. Without the restrictions of having to look at your screen, your best time and place to study could actually be in your car while driving or while taking a walk in the park. Okay, prompt number 2. Consider how susceptible you might be to these 2 unhelpful mindsets. So, unhelpful mindset number 1. You feel like if you never end up sounding like a native speaker in the language, then you'll have failed. If this sounds like you, try to reflect on why you feel the need to sound native. Truth is, unless you're training to be an international spy, you're probably going to be fine with good communicative competence. Oftentimes, perfectionism can keep us from realizing that we're actually en route to achieving our practical language goals. Now, the second unhelpful mindset. You consider your errors and mistakes in the target language as signs that you're failing or as evidence that you're not smart enough. Now, pro tip, if this is you, making mistakes and forgetting are actually both crucial language learning landmarks, and they can facilitate your proficiency game long term. And a personal note, it's easy to feel stupid when you can't communicate a reasonably simple thought, right? Why can't I tell this barista that I want a small coffee? But just keep in mind that that frustration is a sign that you're on the right path and you're testing your limits and you're on your way to breaking through them. So stick with it. Okay, prompt number 3. So in prompt number 2, we talked about unhelpful mindsets. In prompt number 3, we're talking about unhelpful behavioral patterns. Okay, so what I want you to do is reflect on how you're going to avoid these 4 unhelpful patterns and try to figure out which of these sounds like something you could fall into. Okay, here we go. First one, you overestimate how much time you can actually commit to your language learning. Then you get frustrated because you haven't committed to it and stuck with it. You end up feeling guilty about it, and that stalls your momentum. This is why setting realistic goals is so important. Okay, second unhelpful pattern. You keep saying, I need to wait to use the language in public or with real people until I'm just a little better. And before you know it, it's been a year and you're stuck in your head and you haven't made a lot of real progress. If this is you, friendly reminder that it is never too early to start producing in your target language. Okay, this next one is related. You rely too heavily on passive instead of active learning strategies. So a little bit more context on this one. Passive learning strategies include things like skimming grammar notes in a textbook, listening to vocabulary words on repeat, and reviewing old example sentences. Active learning strategies include tasks like reading a story you've never read before or producing your own sentences aloud. Now, the takeaway here is if you rely too heavily on passive learning strategies, then you might fall prey to something called the fluency illusion, which if you want to learn more about, we have a video linked right here. Now, the next and last behavioral pattern that we want to identify is this. You're convinced that you need to find interruption-free pockets of time to focus fully on the target language, but life keeps coming at you with interruptions. So you end up getting frustrated and you give up. Building routines but embracing disruptions is the mindset that you want for successful language learning. So recent research from cognitive science suggests that interruptions can actually help boost your recall of the learning content. It's called incubation, and you can actually use it to your advantage as a language learner. Pro tip, if you have a pocket of 3 minutes before your next thing you need to do for the day, you could work your way through a bit of a mango lesson. And the cool thing is your exact spot where you left off will be saved for you when you come back. So a couple hours later, you might get 2 more minutes into your lesson, and by the end of the day, you'll find that you've squeezed in 1 or more lessons into those little cracks throughout the day. So find those times, use them, and don't feel bad that you haven't done it all in one section of your day. It's okay, and it's actually good for your learning recall. Okay, prompt number 4. Describe what success and failure look like for you. So what I want you to do now is imagine yourself exactly 1 year from today. What does success and failure look like for you? So you can think about this for each of the 5 following language skills: reading, writing, listening, speaking, and the one that a lot of people forget about that is related, cultural competence. Now, for example, your success in your reading skills might be that you read a news article in the target language and understand 60% of it. A failure might be you read a news article and aren't able to get even the main gist of the story. Side note, remember how I told you that we have a great free worksheet to accompany this video that's linked for you in the description? Well, it's got a really nice organized table for you to fill out on this particular prompt. So each of the rows represents one of the 5 language skills, and there's a column for best case, worst case, and most likely case. And what I really like about the table is that most likely case, because it allows you to separate out your realistic or grounding goal from your stretch goal. All right, prompt number 5, keeping yourself motivated and accountable. So what is your main reason for learning this language? With that primary motivator in mind, I want you to think about what is one thing that you could do to keep yourself motivated and stay accountable to your language learning goals. Pro tip, in the accompanying free worksheet that we have for you linked below, there's a spot for you to list out up to 2 accountability action items. And if you're looking for an action item to get you started, consider downloading the Mango Languages app if you haven't already. It offers tons of speaking activities that encourage active learning, which we talked about earlier, and it intentionally incorporates critical thinking activities that prompt you to produce sentences, aka actually think in the target language. Okay, onward and upward to number 6. Speak your loftiest long-term goals into existence. So here's what I want you to do. Describe your ultimate vision of yourself in the target language. So what are you going to be able to do, accomplish, experience, communicate, explore? Really dream big on this one. So for example, will you have a group of Japanese friends that you chat with weekly? Will you be able to understand everything in your Spanish-speaking salsa class? Will you plan a trip to Italy? Now, actually write out your answer and set a reminder to read it aloud once a month to keep it present in your mind. And fun tip, we designed the accompanying worksheet that's linked in the description so that you can print out the last page, which is where you'll have written out your accountability items and your lofty long-term goals. So go print it out, write it, and hang it somewhere that is visible to you, because out of sight, out of mind. So keep it present. Well, thank you for watching. I commend you on taking the time to invest in your language learning goals. And if you've made it to the end of the video, then that means you've already done a lot of the hard work in figuring out why you're learning this language and how you can stay accountable to your language learning goals. If you're new here and you'd like to make sure that you are up to date on all of the awesome language learning content that we are creating for you, go ahead and make sure you subscribe to the channel. And as always, if you have a question or an idea for a video that you'd like to see, let us know, because we're always listening. Well, language learners, that's all for this time on Adventures in Language. Yalla bye, do widzenia, and I look forward to hanging out with you right here next time. Bye. This is your friendly reminder to not forget to sign up and get your free Setting Good Goals worksheet, which you can access through this link on the screen. In next week's video, I'm going to take you on a guided self-reflection of 3 quick but important questions that are going to help you say adios to your fluency frustrations. Well, adventure on, my friends. Bye.